time. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Horror Dork. I mean, I know you guys have been missing us. We've been missing you. So join us today as we discuss Scream 2 and sequels. What to do, what not to do, what we want to see done.
That's a cue to roll the music.
Yeah. Roll music.
Red right hand. All right, welcome to
Yeah, but
Horror
why don't you tell
Dork.
people why your right hand's red?
From constant friction and use.
All right,
Golden needed a prostate exam before the show.
oh God, what?
That's why he's got a
He's got a big hemorrhoid. Is that why? God,
Not
All right.
anymore.
Wow, we're getting real blue up.
Oh,
the
no.
top. All right,
I
welcome to
thought the
Horror
color was
Dork.
red.
The man you heard at the top of the show is my good friend Golden.
Hello.
Man to my left is the Manthony Anthony, and I'm
Not
Mr.
good
Sir.
friend.
He is my good
just
friend.
The rose
Manthony.
between
No,
two thorns.
he's
Mr. Sir.
no. I'm wearing.
Hey,
I'm
every
wearing this,
rose has its thorns.
I'm wearing this incredible
Right?
Jason
That's the song.
Friday the
Put the X
13th
on that.
2
Okay. Yep. I'm gonna hit.
Super unprofessional.
T-shirt
On right corner on the touchscreen.
that I got from
So I could see the levels.
that Anthony got for me for my birthday.
You are welcome.
I love it. It's
Yeah,
really
Got it
cool.
for you and myself.
Yeah, we're twinning
Happy
right now.
birthday to you.
They conspired. They're like, let's see if Golden shows up wearing something. That's
And when
not
he-
this.
Well, that's what Mr. Sir said. He's like, I'm gonna let, but I don't think Golden ever buys anything off of
Shirt punch.
yeah, Shirt Punch. Yep.
No, it was,
These are
Gutter
from-
Garb.
These are from Shirt Punch. No, Gutter Garb.
Gutter Garb. I don't even know what that is. This is from Shirt Punch.
It was,
Neither
Like at
are
home, I eat
sponsors
Evil
of
Dead
the
2,
show.
Evil Dead 2.
That worked out perfect because it's Evil Dead. It's sequels.
Yeah,
We're all wearing sequels.
Golden, point the microphone at your mouth, please.
Like right there.
yeah.
I
Otherwise,
just,
you're gonna be
I
pretty
see
quiet.
your
I know you're screaming, but
yeah, no, well, yeah, but I see his
right.
See my
limiter
stuff.
kicking on constantly.
My limiter. Is that? You mean
The-
my balls?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Can
Anyways.
we see your limiter? I'll edit it off. It won't be on the actual
Just gonna
video
blur out.
version of this.
Just gonna
Just
blur
the
out
live
my-
version. Yeah.
Blurred.
Pull a testicle out of the bottom of your shorts.
Yeah. Let one fall out by accident.
Hang some brain.
I heard like the older you get, the more they start to hang.
Oh yeah, I tuck
they-
them into my socks.
Yeah.
There's a thing about a giant distending testicles in Bo is Afraid that turns out to be a huge plot point
Oh, does it?
near the end. Yeah, it's really the explanation of why they're like that is extremely funny. That movie is not a horror movie. I will say that it's sort of like it's like a black comedy, but it's done in like a fantasy style. It's like real heightened.
So like hobbits and stuff.
There's no hobbits, but there's a lot of weird shit. I'm not
That's
gonna.
cool. That's-
I don't
like
want to
dark
spoil
fantasy
it because it's an incredible movie, and I love Ari Aster's stuff. Like it harkens back to more of his short films than it does like to like Hereditary or Midsummer. It's more like tonally more like Strange Thing About the Johnsons or Turtlehead. It's like it's funny and it's like real strange and heightened, but I liked it a lot. This is like my offhanded recommendation for Bo is Afraid.
Yeah. I would say it's heavy-handed.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. I would
A lot.
definitely check it out. Know that it's not a horror movie and that it's fucking really weird going into it.
I want to apologize. Going back to the top of the show, I feel like I was rude and just barked orders at Golden, so I apologize for that.
Man, it's kind of our aesthetic. You're like, move the fucking microphone, you
But
jerk.
again, the microphone is not pointed at your
like-
freaking
It is.
mouth.
It's right. It's in my mouth.
It's pointing at your nose.
That's where I talk out of.
You talk out of your
Out
nose?
of my nose and my ass. I don't know.
You do not. He's got a real Tom DeLonge thing going on. Talks out of my nose.
I'm like the Fran Dresser.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we're.
I miss you.
So we are talking.
What's happening?
182. Okay, what were you saying?
I don't know. I also I had to fight a sneeze. I had to fight a sneeze, and then my brain reset.
All right.
It was like
So we got
the
a
task manager just went down, and I lost my whole thought.
Taskmaster.
Task manager.
Oh.
the wizard.
He got a blue screen in his head.
I did. Blue. So it happens with age.
So today we're going to be talking about Scream 2.
Scream 2.
Wes Craven directed movie that came out 11 months after the original one came out in December.
Irish
So
twins.
they were Irish. You son of a-
Wow, we had a moment.
I'm alone. Fine. You can have that joke. He said it faster. Yes, Scream
You
2.
say you had a blue screen going on your head, so
I did.
you were waiting for that to reboot.
I'm not fighting the sneeze anymore. It'll be good until
I feel
it's
like
back.
you had something interesting because I put out. Not you, Goldie. I would never say that to you. I'm joking. You're
That's
always
perfect.
very interesting.
He's like, I think.
Is it worse when I have to explain that I'm joking?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's worse when because there's been other times where you said, Golden, I feel like you said something very interesting and I thought, and I have no clue what you're doing up. That's why I was scared. I was like, oh God, did I say something interesting like 3 weeks ago about this?
Yeah, I put it out in the chat that we should
Puts it out.
do topic-centered stuff for a little bit. And you really wanted to go with sequels, Mr. Sir. So I feel
Yes.
like you had something that you were itching to say.
Okay.
Oh, did I mess that up?
No,
I
no, no,
thought
no.
you brought up your notes for it.
Nope. Oh no, I do have I have two notes. I have my Scream 2 notes and then I have my sequel talk notes.
Yeah. And guys, I just wanna say, like, Mr. Sir is very prepared today. I was dragging my ass setting stuff up this morning, which is worse than normal, and he's just on top of everything.
I was I woke up early today. I was very awake. So and I could feel that Anthony needed more help today than usual. So I wanted to step up, and I really am excited to talk about this stuff today. So.
Meanwhile, I sat on this couch in this spot for 2 straight hours. Zero prep.
I would
Put a
say,
microphone in the right spot.
Yeah,
You
and
can tell.
You're the talent, man. You don't need to.
And
You don't need to be.
yeah, and
Just
I
show
would
up.
say that you
Take
were
off my
there for
sunglasses
moral
last
support, but
second.
you were just hurling insults.
It really was. I was like, God,
Like, how long is it going to take to set up?
Time's
Usually it's
running out,
ready to
guys.
go by now.
So
you only have me for this time, this long.
so
Together.
with talking about Scream 2, and then we are going to be getting into another franchise coming up that's very sequel heavy, Friday the 13th. One of the reasons why Anthony and I are wearing these shirts. So I'm posing the question that a lot of horror fans struggle with sometimes is can a bad sequel, like a subpar sequel, tarnish? Thank you. I forgot about the fan. Can the subpar sequel tarnish the legacy of a classic? Like, so when I was coming up with this idea, John Carpenter's John Carpenter had recently teased a possible sequel to The Thing.
What?
Yes.
Just recently?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
Oh, I missed that.
He said he's somebody asked him about it and he said that there's something in the works. He was
Really?
very vague about it, and I would imagine that he's probably Blumhouse has been like one of those studios that seems to have John Carpenter on tap. You know what I mean? They like seem to have like some sort of relationship with him.
Oh, okay. I misheard you. Yeah. I thought you said Boomhouse. I'm like, what the hell's Boomhouse?
So with John Carpenter threatening, to possibly like have a sequel to this thing, that he's definitely.
So you're using the word threaten here. You think this is going to be terrible?
We'll be diving into Hollywood being a dead Jason Michael Leatherface as we dish on horror series with diminishing results. So something that I wanted to talk about is like
It's not beer.
it's like the opposite of, well, it's not quite the opposite of beer. It's a sugar-free Dr. Pepper with cream soda.
Because I'm old and diabetic.
Yeah, I mean, I drink all the sugar-free stuff now too. I mean, don't drink the diet stuff because aspartame is a carcinogenic.
But I feel like everybody's acting like that's a revelation. I swear that's what they said way back when Diet Pop first came out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was like
it's
but
been-
that was like never like, I don't think there was ever like confirmed. It was always just like
Huge revelation
liberal
too. Water's
conspiracy
wet.
or whatever. Yeah, I mean,
Water is wet.
anyways,
Anyways,
Is
no
That's
longer
something we can
my,
concern
no longer
about.
my drinking.
So-
habits. Sequels.
something that I wanted to talk about with as far as bad sequels go is some of the tropes. Yeah, there's some familiar tropes, and you guys can jump in with any of these, and we can expand on them as we go along. I have a little list of them. One of them is like a total retread of the first movie,
Yeah.
and
Ugh.
yeah, that one is like one of the laziest ways to do it. You know what I mean? Just like have the movie just be exactly the same as the first one.
And I think sequels are hard because nobody sets out to just make a sequel. Everybody wants the sequel to be a gateway to a franchise.
Right.
Obviously.
Well,
but
yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
do it right, or else you can totally.
I mean,
derail the
that's
whole
sort of how they do it now, but I don't think that was always the case.
Let's take a look at how sequels were like the process that was actually went involved with making a sequel. We have a video to play. No, we don't. That'd be cool.
He's like, guys, we got really fucking clever.
So
I'm gonna try to
Look-
put some
look-
video stuff together for.
look at
I have
don't
some
make
segments
promises you
in
can't
there. I
keep.
know. I'm not promising anything. I said I'm gonna
Well-
try, which is.
Well, I mean, look at the situation that normally happened for a lot of sequels,
Right.
especially in the beginning. The beginning of like modern horror, I guess you could say. Like, would you say late 70s, 80s?
Can we get
Yeah,
rights to
modern
the-
horror.
can
Because
we
I was
get
gonna
rights
say
to the
like
song
even
from
like
2001 right now. Like, look at the beginning.
I know. I was like,
sequelizing
gotta be
horror
careful what
movies
I
has
say
sort
here.
of always been a thing, like with the Frankenstein, Dracula. all
Right,
those
right, right.
things. But
And
I'm
not
yeah, no,
I'm not
yeah.
familiar enough to like talk.
I'm
on
not
that.
either with that stuff.
I mean, I've
like
watched
the
a
more
lot of it,
modern,
but when it
like
comes to
era of horror
the
movies.
behind the scenes stuff. Yeah.
80s, 90s.
Anyways,
So you have a director, a lot of times who's not even a horror director.
no, they're
That's
jobbers
hired,
usually.
Yeah, just a jobber to come in and make a horror sequel. Probably a movie they didn't even watch until they got the job. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe not even then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you
We'll
have
get
a
into that with a lot of
screenwriter
these
who's
writing
hired, who's
movies.
not the director, and the screenwriter probably has no contact with the director at this point in time when they make the sequel. And I think when we get to it, sequels now are made a lot differently than they originally.
Yeah, they're
were.
made by fans, people that have a familiarity with the subjects.
or at least fans.
Yeah, or with the
Of these- what we're
consideration
talking
in
about,
mind to being,
The beginning of the modern era of horror.
Sometimes
I
we
mean,
do that.
again, like this, we're using the term loosely because it could get traced way back to Psycho and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
we're just saying right
Psycho
now,
2
for
is-
sake
is
of
a
argument,
modern-
this is like the beginning of sequels. You know, there really weren't a lot of
In the
horror
beginning.
sequels before this, at least for stuff we're talking about, like you said,
Okay, man,
40s
too.
and 50s and stuff. Yeah, but
We'd have to.
Um,
we could refer to our resident old guy for that.
yeah.
I
Just
was
kidding.
wondering how long that was going
So-
to take. Before, like,
so do you remember?
Nolan, you were what, senior citizen when you watched Frankenstein 2?
When they
You
made, when they
remember
made
going to the
train,
talkies?
train comes at the screen part 2,
talkies.
Train's Revenge.
Oh.
What are you talking about?
The train coming at the screen.
Oh, it was the guy firing.
first thing.
It was the train robbery, but the guy fired at the screen.
I'm talking about like literally the first footage of a train
oh,
coming
oh,
at
oh.
the screen.
Okay.
I'm going back even further
Because
than
people,
I was out there playing the piano to give the score.
that's when people freaked out in theaters because
so realistic.
it was the great train robbery or whatever, and the bad guy pulled his gun and fired right at the screen,
Ah.
and people ran out of the theater. I guess. I don't know.
It's always good.
Crazy, but
People run out of the theater when my movie's showing too, but for different reasons.
And you have to get World of Worlds. So.
it's still fear though.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely.
It wasn't fear you were aiming for, but yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of pitfalls in the sequels, like making a sequel. Like it's a hard. It's a when you think about it, it's a
let's
very hard.
Kind of
line.
go through this chronologically,
Yes, chronologically.
or at least have two
in the
two
beginning,
eras we talk about.
in
You
the
know,
beginning. There was
the beginnings and today.
Okay. Yeah.
So, what kind of other stuff was there that besides that?
Okay, so I got a couple of things. So aside from total retread, tonal or style shift in a bad way. There's like
Halloween 2.
Halloween 2.
Halloween 3.
No, that was like
Son of
that
a
is
bitch,
one that
Colby.
I knew we were gonna.
Son of a bitch.
I mean, this whole time I'm like,
Here's
I'm
the-
gonna be fighting Golden on Halloween 3.
Here's
at
the
some
thing.
point
Now,
on this.
it's well.
there's
known that
another thing I
don't
have
like
talked about
Halloween
later.
3, but I don't put that in the same class as the ones that completely changed
Right.
things because they had planned that originally was supposed to be 2 movies focused on this thing, and then do another 2 movies focused on something else Halloween related.
and it just didn't.
And the
work.
fact that they planned that from the beginning, that puts it in a different category. I
Right.
just don't like that movie. But I understand where they were going with
Right.
it, and I don't like hate on the people
And,
that
like,
do like it.
so
I just myself do not care for the movie. And
so
I know they like it. That's why I like to bring it up because I know it's going to start a fight. And that's fun.
that's all right. We'll get into more about why Halloween 3 rules later. So like a movie that I'm thinking of that fits into this is like Return of the Living Dead 2 is like a goofy ass cartoon movie that just doesn't fit the it's a total
Can we sidetrack for a minute?
yeah.
Too.
Without retreading, the how
Which also
how do you
Return of the
make-
Living
how
Dead
do
2
you-
it does as well.
in the 80s and you're hired to do Return of the Living Dead 2, how do you make a sequel to that? Because it's pretty wonky to begin with.
Yeah.
You
I
just have
mean,
to choose.
It's tough,
do you
and I
wanna
mean they
go
went
more
they cheaped out on the special effects big time on that movie. So
But I'm a huge fan of Return of the Living Dead 3.
yeah, that one has Screaming
would
Mad
be.
George
Wait,
effects.
how do
in
you
it.
like Return of the Living Dead 3, but you don't like Halloween 3?
Easy.
Yeah. I
Why?
we're
How are
like-
those the same beast?
they absolutely are the same.
No, they're not. Because Return of the Living Dead 3 still had zombies. They didn't
have
say
the same
"Hey,
exact-
let's just get rid of everything. Let's just get rid of the zombies and make this about a fucking mask. Did they do that? No, they didn't. That's how I can like one and not the other. Ah.
Okay. Did you guys have more thoughts on the
I can't
tonal
even
style
argue that
shift?
point.
Because I have a few
Go,
more.
go ahead.
Are we waiting till later to talk about Troll 2 or?
I do
Like,
have
that's a
have
big-
another.
That's a huge one.
That's down on my list as
Yeah.
another
It doesn't-
thing.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't really fall into the tonal shift. That falls into
No, that's
slap the number 2 on
right.
a movie that had nothing to do with
you
it.
know what?
Yeah.
I'll skip to that one right now. Unnecessary or unrelated. So
That was-
Troll 2.
And I
Um,
love Troll 2.
Okay,
do.
but
And
can
I
we
love the
talk
first
about
one.
Italian movies and why they did that? That was for that they were not made
But
to
it wasn't
be
really
sequels.
an Italian movie. That was
It was an
an
Italian
director, but it was
but
in
he
America.
filmed it all in
with American actors.
yeah, in like what, Wisconsin or
I
something.
think so. And
Or
just the
or-
fact that you have an old Italian director telling
But wasn't
an
it
American
wasn't it an
teenager
Italian
that's not
production
how
or no?
American teenagers act.
Just the director and his wife, who was the screenwriter. Those were the only people that were like, because
Who released the movie?
I don't. It was released. I don't know because it was an American movie. Like I know
I don't know
I
enough
only
about it.
know this stuff. Yeah, and I only know this stuff because I watched Best Worst Movie,
God, I love
the
that movie.
documentary.
Oh,
about it.
I did
That
watch that, but it
documentary
was
is
so long ago.
good.
Yeah, it's really it's a really
Especially
good
when you
one.
see it, the mom is absolutely a lunatic.
Well, that poor woman. She has there's just the healthcare system failed her big time. Okay, so another one I have on here is watered down or like neutered. So like another like Return of the Living Dead 2 is like since we were talking about it, is another one where it's just like the gore effects in the first one are so awesome, and this one just has like a zombie gets like his hand stepped on and a bonk noise is made, or like I'm trying to I'm trying to think of like some of those like later 2000s movies that had sequels. Always like the ones that went direct to video or whatever always seemed to be like PG-13 or whatever. They were like
to get more mass appeal.
yeah, marketed to a more mass audience or whatever. I don't have a lot of like budget cuts is another one where like the budget, like everything was going right for the movie except the budget was completely slashed.
Mm.
And
That's not specific to
no, that's not specific to horror movies, but that is like
the
that's-
sequels. I mean,
yeah,
because even the original could have it, and there's cases where it's the other way around, right? And they have a way bigger budget than the original had. Saw 2, and it's still not as good as the original.
The problem too
yeah.
is
I
when
mean,
you
the
get-
Saw movies are good. Oh my god, diminishing results
Yeah.
on those.
when you, I feel like as though when you get a bigger budget, you also give the studio has more say in stuff, and
that's what happened
when
with
it
John
gets ruined.
Carpenter. Unfortunately, he's really thrived in making and being like having like a tight budget and just, but he had more control over the thing relatively.
Right.
Once his deal was made with I forget what studio it was, but once he was given a budget, man, those movies kind of, I mean, In the Mouth of Madness, and I mean, there are people that'll defend like vampires and stuff, but Ghosts of Mars and
I haven't
Village of
watched
the
it since I was a
Damned
kid. I
are
enjoyed it when I
tough.
watched it when I was a kid, though.
I recently,
Teenager.
maybe like 2 years ago or a year ago, rewatched all the
I
Carpenters
remember when you were
because
doing that.
yeah, the Blank Check covered Carpenter on their podcast, so I was going through, and there's a lot of them that I'd never seen before, like Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which is a fucking garbage ass movie.
I watched that a lot too. But all his stuff was always on HBO.
Yeah,
And my grandma had HBO.
Village of the Damned was on all the time. That's the only reason I saw that movie. I never put it together that it was a John Carpenter movie till
That's
later.
a remake, right?
Like,
Yeah.
when are they going to give John Carpenter the money to make the sequel we all want to see, which is Big Trouble in Little China?
He's never gonna. I don't think he's gonna make another movie. He's very happy getting checks from signing off on doing stuff.
You know who could get him to
and
make another
touring,
movie?
making music with his kid, and smoking pot and playing Xbox.
Kurt Russell could get him to make
That
another
is
movie.
literally the only guy that could get him to make a movie. Literally, and I'm pretty sure Carpenter has said as much.
I mean,
Okay, and I got one more.
what, most of all his movies, just about. I mean, he's
Been
been
in a lot.
ton of his movies.
Not all of them.
That was his like Johnny Depp, Tim Burton.
So I got one more trope, and this one makes a change to the story of the original movie. So the sequel,
Like cons it.
yes. So a good example of this is like Jason Goes to Hell with like the worm and the bloodline to Jason and the dagger and all that shit.
But I feel like that doesn't change the mythology; just adds to it, right?
I feel like a lot of people get into.
Jason Goes
We
to
need to
Hell.
try to
Oh, yeah.
explain this thing that you didn't need.
That's
to
an-
know
yeah,
this
that's
whole
What
time.
that is
happened
the
was
thing.
you had an 18-year-old kid making that fucking movie that shouldn't have been making a movie.
Right.
So-
I mean, that's another thing. And we'll talk about Jason Goes to Hell shortly because I have a little bit about that. So that's what I have for the tropes. What is a sequel, horror sequel that you guys feel has no redeeming value at all? Now I know you don't like Halloween 3. However, you can't say that it doesn't have any redeeming.
Oh no, I
Like,
can
you know,
see
if-
why a lot of people like it. I myself don't.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying.
It's not even that you think it's a bad movie, right?
No, I don't even think it's a bad movie. I just don't enjoy it.
You just want Michael Myers.
No, it's not even that. I mean, I felt I don't know. I just never really got into the story that's in Halloween 3. Just never got into it. And part of it could be because so many people like you guys love it. So I'm like, fuck that. I'm not gonna like it.
By love it, you mean we said we
Uh,
liked it and we're surprised.
Nightmare on Elm
you
Street
didn't.
2, I would say has no redeeming. I think
Okay.
I feel like they went in there and the things that made the first one so good and the third
That is
one
one-
so good, they didn't.
You know what? Anthony and I are going to
Anthony
disagree
loves
with
that
it. I like it too.
Of course, you guys do.
And but it is like, if you don't like that movie, it does like check off a lot of those boxes that I had with the tropes and stuff. Like it changes stuff. Freddy's able to come out into the real world for no reason at all. Like
Yeah.
In the 2 minutes of screen time he has in the whole
how
movie.
how he does kills people and like interacts with the kid in that movie is significantly different than what he does in the first movie.
Right.
But a sequel that changes stuff and adds to the mythology, like I think what the difference is in the trope where it changes something from the original movie versus adding onto the mythology is whether or not it feels like it adds something to it. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like in part 3, Dream Warriors could feel
My
like
favorite.
if you don't like that and you think that shit sucks, that could feel like something that they changed that just doesn't make sense to you or
See,
whatever.
I feel
Does
like
it
But
have
that
to
movie
be-
is good, so you accept it more. You know what I mean? But it does add on to it.
Does
It's a good
have
idea.
to be a part 2.
No, I'm talking about like sequels.
Okay.
You know, I'm talking about like Jason Goes to Hell. Like it's not like a part 2 or whatever.
Right.
but, you know,
But see, I think Dream Warriors is
Did
where
you
it
have
showed
a
that
thought?
Freddy really got his stride. Like that's the movie that Freddy
like-
became
Yes,
the
Freddy's
Freddy
Revenge.
that I love, which is the smart ass,
Yeah.
the kills.
What he's talking about starts in Freddy's Revenge. I feel like Golden his point.
Yeah, Freddy's Revenge is one where
Maybe not-
they change a lot of they give Freddy's backstory and it changes a lot of stuff like that
And his
you had-
personality starts to emerge.
and that's a little different too because like some of those movies don't have like a set fucking timeline. Like it's easier to do like but the Freddy movies are fairly like connected to
Yes.
each other than part 2.
Because
which-
my point was gonna be Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Ooh, yeah, that's one
Jaws
that
3D,
because that one's
Yeah.
technically a
or
part.
Jaws Revenge.
I mean, Texas Chainsaw 3D is a part 2 to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original movie, and that one, and it changes a lot of
I can't
stuff.
even
to
get
it.
the timeline right.
No,
in
the
that movie.
timeline stinks in that movie. Movie is like just doesn't make sense on a
You'd think,
fundamental
'cause-
level.
And I think a lot of that was just being excited for a Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah, I was hyped to
Sequel.
see a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie in theaters again.
At
But I mean,
least
Texas
as
Chainsaw
mu-
is more than
Then
just
that
as much
movie
as Next
sucks
Generation
ass.
Next
sucked.
Generation was so bad.
Yeah, but at least it fucking
That
tried.
movie is charmingly bad.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw 3D is just boring bad. It's
When-
It's bad in like a 2000s era bad.
But I think of Next
90s
Generation.
bad just it has like a different feel to it. And that movie also has Matthew McConaughey being a ham.
Whenever I think of Next Generation, the scene that always comes to my mind is when Matthew McConaughey's leg gets run off of like TV remote batteries just starts freaking out.
Yeah,
And for some reason, like that's the scene that I can't get out of my head.
Okay, so that's another one that has
no
like
TV remote batteries are not specifically for TV remotes.
okay.
But he take
Let
at
me-
one point,
let
I
me
feel like
finish
he
my
took a
fucking
battery
thought.
out of a
Sorry, I'm
TV
sorry.
remote,
Anyway,
you
so
motherfucker.
that movie does also get into a lot of those tropes that I talked about, making changes to the original thing that don't make sense. That one introduces the fact that the killers from the first movie and all the other ones are part of this Illuminati fucking organization, like a connected serial killer organization thing. So
Why
they're
be a
like, it's
white
so
family?
yes, it's so stupid. It's really like
You-
just
you
like
don't need a
I
grand
can't even
conspiracy.
remember the actor
Yeah,
that played the
okay.
Illuminati guy, but in my mind, it's Billy Zane from Titanic. I don't know why.
I mean, the guy probably looks more like Billy Zane now. I mean, he's a handsome guy, but he just aged into a character actor big time. His hair just went away. He's so funny in the MacGruber TV show. He plays Queefed, the bad guy. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of those Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie sequels go into that unredeemable like area. Like even like stuff like Bud the Chud 2, like that movie is like funny bad, but it's like it does like get into like that is sort of a movie where they just slapped Chud onto it because it really doesn't have any. The Chuds are nothing like the ones from the original movie. They're more just like zombies. The tonal shift is completely different. It's more like a kids movie, like a kid befriends a Chud. It's so stupid. Like it has like a charming quality about it because it's got like the Bud the Chud theme song. Bud the Chud.
I feel like there's a lot of times in horror that they go into more comedic in the sequel, and sometimes it works great.
Gremlins 2.
Like, you know,
Texas
Evil Dead-
Chainsaw
Evil
Massacre
Dead
2 is some people don't like that movie because it's goofy,
It's
but
not
I
great,
like that
but
movie because
yeah.
it's goofy.
I
It's
enjoy
fun.
it.
Yeah.
It's important.
Mhm.
Then
So
you got like obviously the ones that you guys are wearing.
yeah, it's like Friday the
Friday the
13th
13th,
Part 2. Like I actually
which is where
prefer these
The killer
those.
finally came in.
Yeah. Like
The franchise killer, yeah.
Franchise killer.
I mean, there
obviously.
was a killer in the first one.
Yeah, but she wasn't the killer.
And Jason's in the
spoilers.
first one. Maybe.
The 2 seconds in a dream.
yeah,
in a
I
dream
rewatched
sequence.
that movie last night, and we'll be talking about that movie next week.
Are we gonna
I'm
wear
more
shorter
excited to talk
shorts?
about Friday the 13th part.
Are we-
like
are-
when Jason actually shows
Are we gonna wear shorter shorts so that it goes with like the
I'm gonna be wearing a G-string.
how the movie was?
Once
Again, don't make promises unless you.
I'm gonna be wearing. I'll be getting in my finest Kevin Bacon speedo.
I should
showing
wear
my
my
hog.
I should wear my from the movie from Skeleton Xylophone when we did the thing making fun of the the 80s camp counselor how they dressed. So I actually wore a crop top and really short shorts because we were making fun of the fact that all the movies back then in the 80s, the camp counselors
Right.
wore almost nothing. The guys were just all
They,
wearing
they
crop
dress
tops.
like Instagram influencers.
Yes.
Show,
Wear that outfit.
just showing their under
My
boob
crop
and
top
their
only came to here.
So
Sexy.
real quick before we get into Scream, because I Scream 2, I just want to pitch because we were talking about horror movie sequels that are bad or whatever, and I have a fix for one that I think would be
Oh, snap.
I think would be a really a good movie that I think that people that I think would be what fans would want to see. Now we're talking about Jason Goes to Hell earlier. Now that
Don't you
movie
dare.
stinks. I think it would be a better movie if it wasn't called Jason Goes to Hell and it was just somebody else other than Jason, because it's just not a Friday the 13th movie. But I mean, if we're gonna do it that way, so the first like 7 minutes or so would be pretty much the same. Like the person shows up at the camp, the girl shows up at the camp, Jason shows up, he looks like he's melting. She gets out of the cabin or whatever, and they blow up Jason. So then the movie, half of it takes place in hell with Jason, and he's fighting his way through hell to get to Satan so he can escape hell.
I feel like
But there's
he's
you
smart
can't
enough for that.
no. So you're not really following Jason. You're going to be following like his guide, who's going to be Roy from part 5. Roy is going to be will be Jason's guide, and you can so that part of the movie. So that part of the movie will just be like really effects heavy. Jason killing monsters. That's cool shit. When he gets blown up, goes back to he looks like classic part 4 Jason, like the one that everybody knows and likes. The other half of the movie will take place up top, and that will be following Tommy Jarvis, and the Duke, whatever his name is, the Jason Hunter guy.
See, that's one thing you can't say that Jason Goes to Hell isn't a redeeming movie because you get Duke.
Yeah, he's a cool character. So I wanted to save him for it as well, because you can't just have a movie being like. I mean, you could. That movie would suck. It would just be too much. But up top, it's sort of similar in that it's been widely reported that Jason's dead or whatever, but it's going to be different in that there's a cult of Jason worshippers, and this is something that really wasn't prevalent in the 90s as it is now, is like serial killer like memorabilia and like serial killer worship and stuff like that. That's not
I'm not sure.
it's just not as prevalent in the 90s as it was, because I mean, like, you got like like people
I
were
feel like there's a lot of kids in school when I went to school that were like obsessed with serial killers.
like that was more of like a 2000 like I was, but
Like
that
I was in middle school.
I'd say early 2000s. There was a series of biopics that came out of like all the things
yeah
made by one. They were
It's-
made by one company, but they did like Gacy, all the big
I
ones.
feel like it's just like
Dahmer.
it's a lot more popularized and mainstream now.
Well, I think,
I
with,
think
with
Netflix helped
podcasts and
with
everything.
that.
I think that's what helped.
Podcasts and stuff like that.
'Cause I feel
There's
like
a lot of true crime stuff that's
there's a
real
lot.
popular. Anyways,
There's even a
So
show
there's
now
a-
based on making a serial killer podcast, based on a true story.
oh really? I didn't know that.
It's
that's what
on,
that show's about.
Peacock. It's
Okay.
about it stars what's her face from Big Bang Theory, the blonde.
Kaylee
Kaylee
Cuoco.
Cuoco.
Yep.
Okay.
I knew I'd butcher her name, so I didn't try to say it.
So Tommy Jarvis is investigating this cult of Jason worshippers who are planning on congregating in Camp Crystal Lake on Friday the 13th to try to resurrect Jason. And they are wearing like Jason masks and kind of dressing sort of like him and sacrificing people in the town. So that's what brings Duke as well into the town to try to stop this. And the movie kind of ends with Jason breaking out of hell, and I guess so this is like the more modern version of it. So it would be, so Jason breaks out, kills Duke, Tommy gets away, and Jason also gets away. And then post credits, Satan's in hell, and he gets his best soldier, Freddy Krueger, to come up and bring Jason back to hell, and that is what would lead into Freddy versus Jason. That is my pitch. That is my pitch for an alternate Jason Goes to Hell, which is more, I think, more of what like the fans would want. As far as like Jason's not going to be primarily in the movie killing people, but he's going to be in the movie killing monsters and stuff, and like going like you could just go all out, all ham with that.
He's just like his own Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
Jason's
That's exactly, and he has like the guide. So that with Roy being there, would kind of, tie all the movies together
But
with
what
having
if-
him look like he does in the earlier movies as well. But it starts out with him as that gross zombie melty Jason.
Well, what if we, instead of having Roy be his guide, what if we made it Paul Rudd?
That's a different
Now you have a
franchise
crossover.
completely.
You have a crossover now with Michael Myers. It's perfect.
He doesn't even die.
No, he doesn't die in that movie.
Okay, first of all, Paul Rudd's never aged, so you don't even know if he's human.
I mean, he does die, but he dies.
Think about it. That could play off
his
why he's
character
never
dies
aged.
in Halloween Kills.
That's how you could play off that he's never aged.
Yeah, but that's
he's actually a
different
demon.
timeline.
He's actually a demon guide. Paul Rudd. Lovable demon guide. Now we have a buddy
Well,
cop
speaking
now.
of 90s horror movies, we got to get into Scream 2.
Real quick though, I do want to say one thing that they need to never do for sequels.
What's that?
Use the word "to" TOO. Fucking title.
Evil Dead 2 TOO.
Like when they do that, like because there's been some that do it, and it's like stop. We get it. We get that the word "to" is different. Stop.
Teen Wolf 2.
What about when they just insert it
Mannequin
in
on
place of a
two.
letter?
When they do what?
Which is worse? For
Oh,
you?
the number in the thing, like
Yeah.
Final Destination, but it's the 4.
Plus, like, don't forget the
Arnold.
don't forget when you do the third installment, it always has to be in 3D. Friday the 13th, 3 was in 3D. Jaws 3D.
That's true.
Like that's just what they do. They're like,
Dream
oh,
Warriors.
it's the third. Dream Warriors was amazing.
Halloween
We talked
3.
about that. I'm not saying every one of them does it. Don't be a jerk. But a
Maniac
lot of them
Cop
do
3,
it. A
Badge of
lot of them do it.
Silence.
That and once you go to space, unless you are about alien creatures, once you go to space,
Oh, that's a good
call
one.
it out.
That's one I forgot as well. Going to
So when you-
space.
How many times has it been done though?
Pinhead, Hellraiser, Leprechaun, Critters.
Well, critters,
There's
Like,
other ones.
okay,
critters you can't count because they're aliens. That'd be like saying Alien.
But the
3 was a
franchise
They're
takes
from
place on
outer
Earth.
space.
but they're still from
Jason
space.
X.
Leprechaun's not from space.
Yes,
So
he
you're
is.
Stop.
Did you watch the movie?
Stop.
Leprechauns are aliens.
Stop.
And that could also, I mean,
I
if
don't
you're
know.
being
I'm
serious,
not
that could
being-
also
I'm
be one of
joking.
those things where they change something about it.
I mean,
This,
Oh Lord! It turns
feel
out
like-
he was one of the friends of the critters, the Krites. The leprechaun was.
it was an interesting crossover.
It was.
Leprechaun versus critters.
Let's start doing more of those crossovers.
they could do that because I'm pretty sure they're owned by the same people.
Jennifer
Actually,
Aniston
no.
shows up.
You know what I'm thinking of? The people that did that fucking shitty ass Critters remake did that sort of okay Leprechaun sequel.
Back to the hood.
And those guys were the guys that I believe they were. I forget the production company. They made Manborg and The Void
Oh.
and stuff.
Damn it. I'm not
I
gonna
forget
remember.
what
I
they're
like
called
Manborg.
too. It really bumps me out that I forgot that because
Yeah.
I like a lot of their stuff. Those movies not
Yes.
so much. but-
Scream 2.
Scream 2. So
A
So
sequel
what do
making
you-
fun of
how do
horror
you-
sequels.
I had a bad impression of this movie, and I don't know why. Because I always thought that this movie was like, I don't know, subpar because I like Scream, and I guess I really wasn't never a huge fan of the series until sort of recently. I kind of gotten into more like grounded slashers, I guess, more recently. And I
when
so
Roy from Hell said you're gonna die or watch all the Scream movies again, you said I'll watch the Scream movies again. I want to live. I don't know how that came from.
But yeah, on my latest rewatch is I've come around to this movie and I like it a lot. This movie does have some really stupid
came to this
shit.
movie?
I did.
Or did I mishear what you
I
said?
mean, Courtney Cox, what a smoke show.
You-
Everybody in this movie is a
You-
smoke show except for Jamie Kennedy. He looks
that wouldn't
so weird.
that wouldn't be bad
His
if
hair
on
and
our-
facial hair.
episode of Scream 6 you didn't say the same exact thing.
I
I don't know what to tell you, man. I like there's
She
some
was really pretty for sure.
and her hair in
I
this
felt like
movie,
she was
like
really pretty.
she looks the best in this movie, in my opinion. Like
You
especially
don't think her
'cause
hair looks the
so
best in
weird
Scream
now,
3?
though.
her hair in Scream 3 is an abomination.
It's
Oh,
fire.
I was surprised because like as a big Schitt's Creek fan, me and Mr. Sir. I'm just kidding.
Don't
Mr.
you
Sir does not
dare.
like that show. But to see Alexis from Schitt's Creek in Scream 2 was
I don't
fun.
think I ever knew anyone didn't
She was
like
in
that
there.
show.
oh, okay. I didn't.
She was one of the sorority sisters.
There's a lot of people that have just like nothing roles in this movie. Like Joshua Jackson is in like one scene.
Yeah, a cameo because he owed Wes Craven a favor.
I love Josh Jackson.
Oh, he was
Witter.
the guy that was writing the show was also doing Dawson's Creek, right?
What? Kevin Williamson, yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
was
yeah.
writing Dawson's Creek. So
But he owed Wes Craven a favor because he didn't have money one day and he really wanted a cheeseburger, so Wes Craven bought him a cheeseburger.
He's like, if you buy
That's
me a
the story
cheeseburger
of why he's in the
today,
movie.
I will gladly
funny.
I will
I've never
gladly
heard
do a
that.
cameo in your next movie.
That's a joke. Someone out there is gonna believe that, I feel like.
God, I hate you.
You thought that was true?
I didn't know.
You thought Wes Craven had to buy Josh Jackson, like the most popular actor, arguably at that point in time. Teen heartthrob Josh Jackson,
I
a
mean,
cheeseburger.
Ducks quack together because he was Charlie.
Okay, I'm
Mighty
sorry, I'll
Ducks.
be serious.
I mean, this is the guy that when I said, Stanley Kubrick's friends called him Stanley Poop Dicks, and you said, "Is that true?" I was like, "Yeah, it's true." That
I don't know
Stanley-
anything about Stanley
It's
Kubrick. To be
it's true
honest.
that people called Stanley Kubrick Stanley Poop Dicks.
I'm just
'Cause
not
he's known as
a
taking
big fan
criticism
of
really
Stanley
well.
Kubrick. I think he's a great director. But I've never been like I know
gotcha.
very little about the guy,
Weird
and I don't know
dude.
why. It's just never gravitated towards me.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's like I don't know.
I feel like you with Kubrick, you either love him or you can't stand him. Like there's
I like him. I like
feel
his
like there's no
movies.
middle.
Yeah. I don't know why. Just maybe because he was always so outside the genre as well.
I sort of like
Maybe because
soured
he's-
on him, kind of honestly, recently with like I like his movies that I like like The Shining, Eyes Wide Shut, but like some of his other
Clockwork
movies, I'm
Orange.
just like, ugh. Even that, I'm like sort of kind of going.
the fact that I like
whatever
Clockwork
on,
Orange.
you know
when
what I
you guys know how much I don't like
Eye
Slytherin and
stuff?
but that too.
So
bother-
that one
oh.
has like the ultimate eye thing because it's
That would
happened.
be
and
that would
it's
be
real.
torture. That would be torture to me more than the actual torture they were doing.
Um,
Just prying my eyes open with that foot with that metal thing. I'd be like, nope. Burp, burp. They're like, watch the movie. I can't. I'm too busy vomiting.
So Golden, what did you think about this movie? What?
I mean, I enjoyed Scream 2. I'm going to tell you the one
What were
thing.
your thoughts originally
If
Yeah,
back
what,
in the day?
Yeah,
I
do
mean,
you
it didn't
know?
really change much. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was
didn't mean
obviously
to
a
cut you off.
sequel. I think the fact that it was once again meta.
Golden, before you sneeze, get to your point.
Listen, it was once again meta. Like, and so, like, of course, you got to do the meta sequel stuff. One thing I will say is, if you want to throw a red herring out there and try to make me think that someone's the killer, then don't make it Jerry Connell, because I'm not going to ever believe he's a killer
Here's the
because
thing-
he's too damn lovable. Like, you,
I'll give you
go
that.
ahead and do Brandon Fraser and try to say, oh, maybe he's the killer.
I think it's
I
Brandon,
doubt
but
it.
Yeah, I give you that.
I
too.
have a note about
Doubt
that because I looked up a little bit of
Love Jerry O'Connell.
I looked up a little bit of trivia about this movie,
Jerry O'Connell.
and in the
Love him.
so
Might not say
okay,
his name.
so I know I think we talked about this in another episode, but just to reiterate, the script for this movie was leaked online, like
I know, dude.
really,
Wes Craven was so
and,
pissed.
and it ruined the ending to the movie. So the original ending, the people that were the killers were Haley, Cotton, and Derek were also with Mrs. What's her name? The
Jackie from
Loomis.
Roseanne.
Yeah. So that movie was going to have 4 killers. And honestly, the movie makes more sense with that because like Haley dies like in such a such a lame way. Like they really had nothing.
I mean, that was a cool part though.
That scene is cool, but her death
Like
sucks.
it's intense.
He just like, and it's nothing. It's like so far away. Like you could just say like they faked it or whatever,
Yeah.
and she could have still been
I
one of
wonder
the
if it was
killers.
the same actress.
What do you mean?
Because I just don't remember. How well can you see her when that happens?
I mean, it's kind of far away, but it's definitely her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why would they shoot that so far away though?
I don't know. I think it's because they knew that the effect was lame looking.
Okay, I'll give you that.
I mean, I think it was just like he slit her throat and that was it.
It was the last minute.
yeah,
Like they only had a couple days. I can believe that.
yeah, and I mean, Cotton is a great like red herring as well. Like
Oh, yeah.
he's such an like they really lucked out on him just being like as casting him as that cameo in the first one.
I know.
They really lucked out on him being such a, like an intense actor.
exploding,
Yeah, like he's so good in that role, and like he's
good
kind
in
of
everything.
He's kind of has a point too. Like he's like really pushy about it, but he's not
No, yeah,
wrong.
but he's being promised stuff that
yeah,
it's not actual.
right.
Gail has no right promising.
Right. And I mean, he's right. Like she did ruin his life.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
she has all
Yeah,
this
she
fame
did,
now,
yeah.
and all he's asking is for that little
15
that
minutes,
little,
yeah.
that little bitty bit to get his life back. And instead, he's the fucking suspect again.
Yep,
He's
yep,
like, oh
exactly.
god damn it!
He's like this shit again. God damn.
Like,
What
come
if-
on!
I can't
He
get
just
rid
has
of
a terrible like 3 years there, 4 years.
Yeah.
Because once you get into Scream 3, it's like, oh, sorry, dude.
He's just
Dude,
like,
that part in the beginning. Is
he's like,
so-
I just
we'll
came
get
here
into
to,
that
I
next
just came here to
week.
get
It's
some
so funny.
fame, and now I'm a fucking suspect again. And the way he handles it too, like when they pull him in for questioning, I think it was perfect. I think that was like,
Yeah.
so he's like, come get the fuck out of here, guys. I've been through this dance. Like,
Oh, speaking of
like,
dance, that's
why
like,
would I be the killer? Like, why would I walk into this knowing that I would be suspect number one and fucking kill people? Come on,
that part.
I'm not that idiot.
So that part in the movie makes no sense to me. Like, why
What?
is that in there?
What?
The part where everybody just starts breaking into song and dance in the cafeteria. Jerry O'Connell just starts singing to Nev.
Because
Everybody joins in, and fucking the
blame Top Gun.
Timothy Oliphant is fucking clapping. And
I-
it's so bad.
I blame
like,
Top Gun.
what is it? Why did Wes Craven need that in the movie?
because it's in other movies, and since this is a
hated it.
meta
It's
movie,
so lame.
how many times in movies does the guy win over his girl by just like going, "Oh, song and dance number"? I mean, even after that, because you got
All
10
right.
Things I Hate About You, you've got Say Anything, you've got Top Gun. They do that in movies.
It's okay. Top
But-
Gun. Okay, that is what it is.
It also hides like a very.
It's not a horror.
It also
not a
masks-
sequel either.
It also
It is now. Well, no, it's not a sequel.
it also masks like a very, very, very forced plot point
That's true,
because he gives her his letters.
which is not a thing.
It could be for that fraternity though,
I'm
because
gonna
they have all kinds of letters or all kinds of rules. You know, like weird ass rules.
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
with his weird.
like we're gonna
fucking-
tie you to a fucking
Yes,
piece
yeah.
of art and just
we're gonna kidnap you.
Well,
in
that's
the
like
middle
rose
of the night.
before hose.
Yeah, that's like the
Rose
punishment.
before hose now. Say it.
Where
He's like,
what's
"No,
her
I
name
love
from
her."
Arrested Development is one of the sorority girls.
Also, can I
forgot
just
her name? Damn it! I'm so bad at this.
But you could have, but
I'm
they
such a bad podcast.
honestly
I
have,
can't
like,
remember anybody's names, actors' names.
stranger
nobody.
rules.
You're better
in that,
than me.
like,
I
you
just,
can only
like,
spend 38
by
cents,
other
but you have to buy a
character
bag of Doritos every Thursday. You know,
Yeah, it's true. We only wear pink on Wednesdays. All that good stuff.
that's not a
You
sorority.
can't
That's
say
not a
that.
fraternity or sorority. It's just Mean Girls. You know all about that, Mister Sir.
I do. That's one. I love that movie.
I do too. Honestly, I'm not
That
joking.
movie-
I
I'm
do
not,
like
I'm
that
not
movie
either.
a lot.
People always think that I'm fucking with them when they're like, "Oh, Mean Girls" or whatever. I'm like, I love that movie.
I just
We,
meant you are a mean girl.
I am.
when,
a mean girl. I am
when I used to
Regina.
work at the
If any
bank,
was the mean girl,
Regina
we,
George.
we did a thing where we always wore pink on Wednesdays. All of us, like we did.
Okay,
And then
next
there was that
point.
time
Moving
that-
on.
What was the? There was like, it was like this big thing because the
I didn't know what
day,
I awakened.
the date from Mean Girls, where she's like, on this date, he
Yeah,
asked me what day it was.
in October.
That
or
fell
whatever.
on a Wednesday.
Ooh.
And then at the bank, they had a thing where like everybody at the branch was supposed to wear the same color, and they go, "What color should we wear?" I go, "Are you kidding me? It's got to be pink."
Yeah.
So and it's so funny because like we had guys and girls at our branch, and anytime I was like, "Yeah, Wednesdays we wear pink," they always assumed it was the girl at our branch that came up with that, and I'm like, "No, that was me." I was like, "No, I championed that." Like I was like, "We have to wear pink every Wednesday because Wednesdays we wear pink."
You had a point you wanted to make. I'm
And
sorry.
also because Night French was in it. How much was it? The fucking janitor.
made it.
I love it.
You made it. You made your
It's
point?
Was it
because to
girls?
get Derek on the
Oh, for the
to incapacitate him for the rest of the movie, he had to give her the letters, and you're not really paying as much attention to the fact that that's obviously forced to happen. That he does that song and dance,
gotcha.
and I don't know if that's
I
why,
mean,
but it helps.
And Golden's explanation for it like kind of helped a little bit, but it doesn't mean that I like it. I think it sucks
Oh,
still, and it's not. It just
Like
feels so out of place with the movie.
It's got to be more just to be like, okay, maybe he is the killer because he's crazy enough to do this.
Nope, still never bought into that Jerry was a killer. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And I like how in like and there's back-to-back scenes where
This is how my
where
You're
both
so
Timothy Oliphant and Mrs. Loomis are
Making love in the backseat.
yes,
of
they're
a car.
kissing and
well,
no, they're
Daddy
shifting.
Salt.
They're trying to shift focus on other people being the killer.
Right.
like-
because Timothy Oliphant was 100%. You could tell he was the killer as soon as he took the screen.
Yeah, I
face-
mean he has like such
Face
an intense.
looks like a killer, and I love that.
I didn't know that.
I love Timothy Oliphant.
Jackie
as an actor.
from I can't remember her name now.
Roseanne.
From Roseanne was the killer, but
Just
I
call her
definitely
Jackie.
knew that Timothy
Just call her Jackie.
Jackie. Yeah. I'll
Do what
pull a
I do.
Golden here.
Do what I do. You just call someone by a character they played in a different thing, or sometimes by a character they look like from a different thing that they didn't even play.
The explanation of why Dewey has an limp is so funny too. Because
Oh, the explanation why he doesn't have it anymore is even funnier. He gets stabbed in the same spot.
Really, I forgot that I got to when we watch
Something like that.
rewatch.
I could be
Scream 3,
wrong.
I'll
Maybe
have
I
to
made that
remember.
up in my
It's
head.
So fun.
Maybe that
It's
was
goofy.
a reference to like National Lampoon's Vacation when he
Oh,
when he's like
Yeah.
he did it on the other side.
where,
I've seen
where it's
the
like, oh,
picture.
it was like she falls down a well and her eyes go cross. She gets kicked in the head by a donkey. They uncross.
I got a metal plate and I gotta piss my pants and
Every time the microwave
goes off. He's like, yeah, JK's like, why are you limping? You got shot. He's like, yeah. It was where I nerve damage or
Yeah,
something.
nerve
It's like
damage.
such a
But
funny
it was
like
meant to be like, oh, maybe Dewey's a suspect now, you know?
I do
Yeah.
love that.
Well, if I'm a suspect,
I
you're a
felt like
suspect.
they really played up the
You're right.
awkwardness of
Let's
like
move
running
on.
into your ex. Because like
yes.
the way Courtney was like, "Oh hey, Dewey."
Hey, yeah, I
Let me
read
see
your I
here.
read your book with all the cool stuff that you wrote about me in it. or you said I'm a moron and
The worst sex ever, or something like that.
in the Luke Wilson cameo as Skeet Ulrich, that was so funny. Where
Yeah,
they just
that was
basically
great.
like, how did they? He just basically does the exact scene from the first movie. Duh, idiot. With that awful long hair and the Tori Spelling
All I
thing,
can
which was
think
also a
To make that
reference.
legit is someone had to been nearby and heard the whole conversation
Yes.
in the original movie. Because
Like,
how would they
word
know
for
all
word.
that stuff? It's not word for word, but it's changed enough. But the physical stuff he does is like right on.
And how about that thing? Randy, in the film class gets that fucking aliens quote.
Why does
wrong.
he look like Legolas from Lord of the Rings? Was I the only one that thought that?
No, he looks
watching
like the
this?
fucking front man for Power Man 5000. He's got
He's
like
got
that
elf ears in the
Oh,
movie.
Power Man 5000.
But do you want to look like the guy from Power Man 5000?
Maybe the guy.
Isn't that Rob Zombie's brother?
Yes, Spider One.
Spider One, yeah.
Yes, he's a film director now, I think too.
course he is.
He makes
Why
movies.
wouldn't he be? Follow the
One of
family
them, I think.
legacy.
I
He
think
also
just got
cast
out
his
of
wife and
Screen
everything.
Hmm?
Saying he also cast his
He's
wife and
just-
everything.
Being a silly goose.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, absolutely. Her name is Sherry
here we
Sun
go.
Power Man.
Sherry Sun Power Man? Really?
Yeah.
Wait, wouldn't it just be Sherry Sun Man?
No, Power Man is actually his
Or
last name.
Sherry
It's
Sun
hyphenated.
5000?
No, see, because her maiden name was Power, and his was Man, so they actually hyphenated. So Power Man. the 500th generation.
So
They hyphenated it.
on his driver's license it says Robert Zombie. It says Spider One Power Man.
Power Man. Listen, that could be his real name. You don't know. Like the people out there have weird names like Golden.
So I don't have a ton of info about this. I did listen to we'll get into I'll have a more prepared segment for next week for Scream 3, but I did listen to the Scream 2 soundtrack. There's a couple original songs. There's a John Blues Explosion song that references stuff that happens in the movie, which is really
Nice.
funny to have.
I like
that
those.
song. Yeah. The other one is a Masterpiece song with Silk the Shocker, which is "Make 'Em Scream." I'm never been a Master P fan.
Really?
Like, no, I like really don't like No Limit, like that kind of stuff. I like Mystical.
You don't
DeBrat's
like
good.
Bourbons and Wax?
You bringing up that song,
honestly-
it reminds me of the theme song for Snake Eyes. Where, so
You're gonna have to go further than that.
Snake
man.
Eyes was, I believe,
He's from GI Joe.
you son of a. No, it was was it Nicolas Cage movie?
Yes,
But
yeah.
in the song they do the one quote. They have the one quote in the song. So like, there's one part where he goes, "Drowning man dies screaming" or something like that. And in the song they're like, "A drowning man dies screaming." And I was like, I lost it. Like as the credits are rolling, that hit, and I'm like, as much as this movie was absolute garbage, I love it now because they just said, "Hey, you know that one?" Like it's like they
Yeah.
said, "Hey, could you write a soundtrack for us?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Here, watch the movie." Okay, yeah.
I know with a lot of these soundtracks, it's either like the label that like the movie studio that had their record labels subdivision or whatever, whoever's signed to that label, whatever unreleased whatever crap they have, they'll kind of compile it, and it doesn't really matter if it fits. And the Scream 2 one is sort of like that. It's
Is
like
Snake
that as
Eyes
well.
really that bad of a movie? I
What?
just picked up a double. I haven't seen it in a long time.
What
I just
movie?
picked up a double pack at Family
Snake
Dollar.
Eyes.
It had, or not Family Dollar, Big Lots.
I
It
mean-
had Face Off and Snake Eyes in it.
Okay, so first of all, you know, like there's always one bad movie in those things, and the fact that Face Off is the good one should tell you what Snake
I like
Eyes
Face
was.
Off. That's a great movie.
It is. Yeah, it's great. I'm trying to remember everybody that was in Snake Eyes.
I haven't rewatched it yet.
I
but
love
want
Nicolas
to.
Cage, and I'll watch anything with Nicolas Cage.
Yes,
in it.
so that Masterpiece
Oh,
song
Gary
is like
Sinise.
in the grand tradition of like horror movies having like a rap song that sort of like incorporates stuff from the movie, like the Maniac Cop 2 one has the Maniac Cop 2 rap, and the Shocker
Yeah,
has
like
has a
Deepest
Shock.
Bluest.
Yes, that's a perfect, way better example than the Maniac 2 cop rap is the LL Cool J Deepest
Except
Bluest
LL
song.
Well-
Cool J's actually in the movie.
I mean, yeah, and also
Well, just
like
like
Will
when you have
Smith,
Will
you know?
Smith in a movie, you know he's
Wild
going to
Wild
give you one
West.
of the songs for the soundtrack.
and well, the Shocker one is rapped by
Not anymore.
the guy. Oh, I can't remember his name.
Is he slapping?
Damn it, the Shocker, the guy that I met.
That's his last name, the Shocker.
um,
Speaking of soundtrack, though, news also just to bring it back to my movies and stuff, we signed up a band for the to be the
cool.
soundtrack for Dingus Day, and it's funny because Mike and I decided to do the
are
art
they
crawl,
that punk polka band?
a different one.
Oh,
actually.
okay.
They're not really punk polka; they're like unusual polka. So Mike
Dingus
and I
Day coming
decided,
to a theater near
they're
you.
like they're like Weird Al but edgy.
yeah, pretty much. But Mike and I were doing the art crawl in town. Like, so we set up a booth because we forgot actually that we signed up for it. And then
You did?
2 days, yeah, then 2 days before.
you there.
I remember I took a picture of you. And then
Yeah,
you
I
looked
know.
Over, you're like, "Son." And
Some fat.
So, like,
slob
it was so
walking down
funny
the
'cause,
road.
like, we set it up. We're just like barely anybody's showing up to buy Mike's pictures and
Best
stuff.
part is I seen Golden with his phone out when that happened.
I was like,
He's like, oh, he's looking at his phone. He's not even saying hi.
you
I'm
weren't
like
paying
waving at
attention to
him.
me, so I was like, I'm just gonna put this in the group chat and just see how long it takes for him to realize I was there.
Marianne was
Uh,
waving.
so-
She understood the
right?
assignment.
I was like, there's Golden.
So like
No, he's
we
not paying attention to me.
we're in this thing and it's the art crawl, and pretty much nobody's showing up to our booth or whatever. And then a band, a flash mob band just shows up and gets ready to start playing right next to us. And I look at Mike and I'm like, for fuck's sake. I'm like, I can't deal with
Oh, you
this.
pull the stitches.
I was like, I can't deal with this right now. I don't want to even. And then they started playing, and it was polka.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh God, wait, this is exactly what we need. So I had our
That's like
business
when I
cards-
got there.
I had our business cards out, and I'm like just waiting. I kept waiting for them to stop playing so I could talk to them. And then I'm like, hey guys, we're making Dingus Day this movie and blah blah blah. And they're like, oh, we've heard about that, and like they were super excited. So like now they're gonna be our soundtrack.
Hell yeah!
And
They
I'm
were
like,
good.
They were a lot of fun. I was
Honestly, like really good. No, I know Golden because like when you agreed to come back and do Horror Dork, you said, "Listen, I'll do the podcast, but I'm not talking to you in public."
pretty much, yeah.
And Mr. Sir's like, "Oh, that sucks." And
I
you're
now
like,
have
I'm not talking
two-
to you, Mr. Sir. You can talk to me in public.
I now have 2 different pictures of Anthony in public, just randomly
In the
take pictures of him out in the wild.
The-
Usually at
the one-
Walmart, because
the
that's
one
where
he
I
is
always run
posed
into
sort
him.
of like Sasquatch in the Gimme Paul Patterson footage. He's like walking.
It's like this.
The best part was
I'm watching the band play.
Well, when I think of that footage, I think of like the part where the Bigfoot kind of turns and faces.
my favorite one was like the Walmart one, because I took the picture. I was sitting in my car. I see Anthony walking out to his car, so I take the picture, put it into the group chat, and then Anthony sees me, comes over and talks to me, and my phone's plugged into my car. So then I see in the group chat, Mr. Sir made a comment. So I hit play audio, and so Anthony's right at my window listening as and says like, Mr. Sir sent thinking of men's butts. That's why he's smiling.
I didn't even know what he was talking about.
And he just looks at me like all confused. Like, oh, he's commenting on the picture I took of you walking out. That was great.
Yeah, he's smiling because he's looking at men's butts.
Looking at men's butts.
I'm just a happy person.
You are.
Men's butts are not always involved.
So the part near the end where Mrs. Loomis has confronted Sydney, and
Favorite scary movie.
and Sydney's like trying to use the props to her advantage, but she's like flicking on the lights and stuff, and then she grabs like the thunder effect thing.
Yeah,
I was like,
know.
what is she doing? Like, what is
I don't
that gonna
know.
do?
She was hoping she would cause a seizure.
She's just like, it like just drops a bunch of fucking cardboard boxes.
She's like trying to create confusion, but it's
It's,
aren't they real bricks?
no, they're like prop stuff. It was all prop.
I thought that was the thing when the first one fell. It was supposed to be like a real brick. Like, oh snap!
I'm gonna make a movie where like the slasher.
I didn't read that way because none of it like.
I didn't really
fell
understand
like-
why it showed that brick falling.
Gotcha. I watched it a couple times. I didn't really pick up on that. It honestly just all go kind of fakish to me. But
True.
I gotcha.
I'm gonna make a movie where the slasher has epilepsy. So every time there's flashing
That's how you
lights-
get away.
Every time there's flashing
So
lights, he just
insensitive,
drops and
dude.
has a seizure.
God,
That'd be cool.
that would be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That would be a fun, cool movie. Is the epileptic slash?
Why don't you make it neo-realistic and find an actor that actually has epilepsy?
Think I
and you can
would.
trigger.
Just keep triggering his seizures.
God,
Like,
you two
oh
are
man,
terrible.
I'm
I'm not joining in on this ableist
Epilepsy
conversation.
is where he draws the line.
I'm just saying. No, because here's what would happen. I would do that, and then all these people would come out and say, "Are you and like since I'm not epileptic,
You're just
they'd say
lying to
that-
cancel.
They'd say that I can't do it.
Yeah.
They say I can't do it. Just like
Can't
I had somebody
cancel.
who was like who saw that we were doing Dingus Day, and was like, "Are you Polish?" And I was like, "I mean, possibly. There's part of me there." They're like, "Well, aren't you worried that there'll be some people saying that?" And I go, I was like, "Well."
What this is?
I was
This
like,
is
our writer and director are very Polish, so I mean, I feel like the fact that I'm just playing the fucking killer might make it okay.
this is anti-Polish discrimination.
Like, come on.
This is what the fuck is there like? There has to be like an organization like that. Like
I'm sure there is.
like the Italian Defamatory League or whatever. There's the Polish
it's like-
Defamatory
It's like
League.
I'm not.
They're
the
doing a
writer,
really
I'm not the
shitty job
director,
because,
I'm
like-
I'm just the killer. Like I'm pretty sure that they're not going to be like, "Whoa."
I mean, that is
Ask the real Polish man.
that is the irony of like the Polish Anti-Defamatory League is like how bad of a job they're doing keeping
Really are.
the Polish.
Considering I
jokes
grew up
out
in,
of
like, that
everything.
Yeah, they rip on themselves, so
That was like the
Come
they don't
biggest
see anything
joke.
wrong.
Come after me. I'm not afraid.
they're not really sure what they're supposed to be doing.
That's right, Polish people. We're coming for you.
Goodness,
Polish
cancel.
Americans mostly, but
Yeah, Polish American. Let's make that very clear right now. Polish Americans, Americans of Polish descent.
right.
What are they called?
Oh, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not touching that one.
I mean that
Nope.
one. That one version. I mean, there's an area that goes into slur territory, and I think saying that would be
Oh yeah.
sort of
Not doing that.
cancelable.
Not going there. Nope.
I mean,
Just like wow.
Oh, I'm a terrible person.
Really are. Just trying to lead me into that trap.
That's not okay.
He's like Golden halftime doesn't think before he speaks. Let's just set him up for this.
I
one.
was honestly hoping for that.
but to get back to the movie a little bit,
Before we end.
yeah. What do you guys? How do you feel about the opening? Like, I know, like they have to follow up like one of the most iconic horror openings of all time. I feel like it's a pretty
great.
decent opening.
think
Yeah,
it's
I
great.
like it. Like
Can't get more meta
the
than
theater is doing like a Charles Band kind of thing with like all the like they're handing out like Ghostface killer costumes, which sort of explains why there's a bunch of people just dressed
Yeah,
up
yeah.
like him, because like
that. I think that
it would be like if they made like a movie about Charles Manson
if
the
they made a
year
movie about
after
Charles Manson-
the Manson murders, the year
Yeah.
after, and people were dressing up like Charles
And the theater
Manson.
was giving
Is
out
there a
free,
sequel?
free head.
swastikas.
Is there a s- Is there a horror sequel, with a better opening than Scream 2?
Yes,
What?
Evil Dead 2, where it recaps the first movie.
Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, the Evil Dead.
What was wrong
remake,
with it? They're
I
like,
mean,
hey,
it's-
this first movie, we're gonna redo the first movie in the first 15 minutes, just super quick.
I'm trying to think, because I mean there are some that are that pick up the movie like right when I mean I think like the
as far as
No,
like
I
a
don't-
designed opening,
as
Like,
far as
yeah,
this movie sequel goes, I can't really think of any. One that kind of goes into that territory is the Friday the 13th remake, where they kind of jam together the first three movies is like a kind of like the opening to the movie. I think that is
it's
a
not
clever
really
way.
creative though. I don't feel like.
I mean, it's a way to kind of get into the Jason of it
Yeah,
all.
but it's just exposition. It's just there.
But it's
Be
the
like,
opening.
We
of-
just want to bypass this and get right to Jason.
What about Troll
That's
2?
what I felt like when I seen it.
Troll 2 had an amazing opening.
You'll have to refresh my
I can't
memory. It's been a
remember. I'm
million
just saying
years
that.
since
I'm
I
just saying
watched
that to
it.
get the eye roll from.
I mean,
Anthony.
that movie opens
I
with
can't
them
remember.
singing in the car, and they're singing
Don't
"Row,
piss
Row,
on the
Row."
hospitality.
Sing that song that we all like. Row, row, row your boat gently down the street. It's so stupid.
You don't piss on hospitality.
Such a bad movie.
It is, but it's so good.
it's entertaining. I'll say. I'm not gonna say it's good.
Well, yeah, not good in
It's
the
an entertaining
normal
movie.
sense, but it's highly quotable. The fact that it's called Troll 2 and there's not a single troll in the movie.
No, they're
They're
goblins.
And the Italian director's like, it's the same thing. It's like, well, they're
Oh, it
not.
could be.
No. Trolls and goblins are not anywhere you are.
I mean, they could have. The town could have been called Slot.
Not now, but back in the 80s.
The town's
Back in the
called
80s.
Trolls backwards
the thing, Joe, like, Grandpa.
because it's Nilbog is the town and it's Goblin backwards. It's just
I get it.
Slot.
Always.
Remember that old meatwad meme you used to love to share?
Look at me laugh, but I get it.
Like how you say that he used to like to share. He still does.
Yeah, I don't. Not as frequently. I have more at my disposal.
Anthony's clearly
now.
not making enough dumb jokes like I do.
Wait, what?
Got to up your dumb joke thing if you want
When
to.
have I ever made a dumb joke?
Only when you speak.
That's Rude. That hurts.
I'm gonna get a message later. Whatever you mean to Anthony.
Wait, no, you won't because I'm the one that messaged you. Mr. Sir,
I
like,
would
Mr. Sir
definitely
told me
don't.
not to message you.
I
Like, I don't
kinda
think he
did.
cares.
He's
I was
like, you
like-
can't talk to Golden.
I was like,
It's in his rider.
I was like, Golden doesn't care. Like Golden, I was like, that's our
No.
dynamic, and literally that was what Golden replied.
It really is. That's our dynamic.
It's like it's not like purposely antagonistic. It's just this is
Like,
like
you're
how
not
what a
gonna fight me.
relationship is. No,
And I was
He's like,
kind of
what's next? Old jokes? Come on.
yeah, like I really didn't like think much of it because you're old, and I figured you'd forget it anyways.
Did I tell you the thing?
As for the old joke,
So at Darien Lake, I went to Darien Lake with my mother and my daughter, and for whatever reason
Humble
decided, you know what's gonna be fun?
yeah, humble brag.
Let's go up to the let's go up to the Gesher age booth, which I was like, oh, this will be fun. And that woman, it wasn't fun. My daughter did get a stuffy out of it at least, but so for those that don't know, the Gesher age booth, they have to guess your age within 2 years, or else you get a prize.
oh boy,
So I went up
oh dude,
and
I'm
I
sorry.
said, let's do it. And she's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, let's go with age because my ego is not okay enough for me to do the weight thing because that's gonna hurt bad. Especially because on the weight thing, the scale is massive. Like it's so the whole park can see how fat you are. So I go, I'm like, oh, let's do age. And she's looking at me. She goes, well, got a lot of gray in that beard. I'm like, fuck, go. And then she said, 54. I was like, wow. I was like, yeah. And my daughter's like, does that mean we win? And I'm like,
Yeah.
shut up and go pick a stuffy.
It's like
and,
you
like-
get to win the biggest stuff.
So I'm like, yeah. I was like, I'm
How often?
45, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no. Well, I guess at least my daughter gets a stupid 20-cent stuffy. And then my mom's like, I'll do the guess your age too. And she looks at my mom, and she goes 52, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
You know how
I was
old
like,
I
that's
am.
my mother. No, the woman said my
Oh.
mom was 52, and I'm
She
like,
didn't
that's my
understand.
mom, and you think she looks younger than me? And my mom was like, that made my mom's day. Like the rest of the day, she's like,
oh,
I look younger than you. I'm like, you shut your
daughter got
face."
2 stuffies.
Yeah, here's what
I
happened.
was
She
like, "You
thought the
shut
kid
your
was
face."
cute. She wanted to be nice to the mom after insulting you.
It's fucking straight up 52. Like,
I
I'm
mean, your
like,
mom does look younger than you.
you fuck yourself. My mom is 70.
Just being honest, okay?
You're 52. It's hurtful. Hurtful. 54. She said I was 54. I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I'm like,
did
I
you
get
tell her
it. I'm
you're
not-
off by like
I'm
a
not
couple
spring
decades?
chicken, but I don't look like 54. Like that.
No, dude. No, you don't look like you're in your
Yeah,
50s.
that's pretty
I
young.
can't-
It's hurtful.
like I probably wouldn't.
I was
have
surprised she
guessed
didn't
your
say
age
like
either, but
58, but
I wouldn't have
2
said.
years more.
I wouldn't have said you were 50.
Like, it was like basically I paid $10 for you to insult me. I'm so happy I did this. It's the best game ever.
All right. I know we didn't talk about Scream 2 a lot, but I mean,
You're
this
surprised
is a
that you've
good-
never watched a
I
single
know.
one of our podcasts.
But I mean, we did talk. We had some topic stuff. I mean, I think we all like this movie.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, it's all a recommend from us. I mean, if you like Scream, definitely check out Scream 2. It's on Paramount Plus. All the
July
Scream
4th
movies
sale
are.
for screen Bright Rags.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet.
Well,
Bright Rags
Buy some
always has
Bright
some
Rags.
cool stuff. Operated out of Rochester.
Yeah. Right in our backyard.
Yep. Whenever I order stuff from them, I get it very quickly.
that's like
Not
when
I
quickly
know,
than I
I
do
know.
from other places.
Like
I
Shirt
get it,
Punch, you wait
super
3
quick.
years.
Yeah.
that's like when I order my coffee from the coffee place I like because they make Wake the Hell Up.
The
coffee.
one that you made us order from.
No, that's different.
Oh,
That was Java Mom. That's when I had my party. No, one day Mike gave
His
me
MLM.
coffee that's called Wake the Hell Up, and it's actually delicious, and it's like double caffeinated, which is what I need because I need high doses of caffeine because I'm a very low key
It
person.
has to be like borderline like narcotic.
It basically has to be cocaine.
I know. I had 2 cups of
That I
coffee
can-
and I'm
that I can brew.
still
I
struggling.
need to brew
I had a
cocaine basically.
good night's sleep.
And but they're like in Ithaca, which is also our backyard. So it's so funny
I
because
know,
like
I'm not
I'll
gonna
order it,
stand up.
and then it'll be like, then as soon as I hit order, they're like, my shop app goes, there's a new package on its way to you, and I'm like, "Jeez," and it's like already halfway to me. I'm like, how? How did that happen? And then I get it like the next day, and I love it
That's cool.
because I need my damn week.
What's the name of the site?
Ithaca Coffee, I think.
.com.
Something about sure. I mean, just search "Wake the Hell Up Coffee." Ithaca.
Wake the hell up is the brand.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, that's
okay.
the
what we're
brand.
looking for.
So it's not the brand. It's like
Nah,
one of
It's
their
the flavor.
what's not the flavor either. It's one of their like. So they have
Subdivision.
Yes, they have like
Okay.
non-double caffeinated coffee as well. But like
So
all their double
they're
caffeinated,
double
coffees, like,
caffeinated,
Non-double
Wake the Hell Up,
caffeinated?
and then
The branding is.
What do you mean
Wake the Hell Up.
non-double caffeinated?
Like regular.
caffeine.
Oh, okay.
Like this is double caffeinated.
Has a double
I
amount.
thought you meant decaf. I was like, doesn't even make sense.
No, just like stand.
No, that's called go the fuck to
regular ass coffee.
sleep. That's called go the fuck to sleep coffee.
Called Why Bother.
Yeah, I just want to poop extra. I don't want to be awake. I just want to poop more. It's like non-alcoholic beer. So yeah, what I like to do is taste
also something I don't
piss
get.
and piss every 2 seconds, but I
Yeah,
don't want to get drunk.
There's you could drink good stuff that doesn't have alcohol in it.
Just if you're hooked on the taste. Though, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's.
I mean, if it was good beer,
And there's people that drink Diet Dr. Pepper. So and that's as gross as it gets. I'm not talking about zero sugar Dr. Pepper.
Yeah,
Diet
Dr.
my mom
Pepper,
drank
love
that
it.
for years. That's
Delicious
all
ass.
we ever had in the house, and it was so gross. I was more thirsty after drinking it than I did taking a sip.
So
you don't
that's
drink
funny
pop, do you?
because
Thirst.
my mom would also buy Diet Dr. Pepper because I was such a Dr. Pepper head. But that kind of was like, ugh, this is disgusting. It's not the same thing. Like there's such a valley of the flavor difference between Dr. Pepper and Diet Dr. Pepper. The
Tastes more
zero
like regular
sugar,
Dr. Pepper.
the zero sugar kind of gets closer to it, but it's still not the same. I'm pretty sure like whatever like the main ingredient in Dr. Pepper is has to be sugar based. Like
Yeah.
it has
Yeah.
to be because that is like the main flavor of it is from.
They're like
Just- it
there's like
just-
there's 32
It
flavors
gets
in this,
taken out of it.
Cough
and
syrup.
31 of them is sugar.
Yeah.
They've got all these different kinds of sugar and then prune juice.
There's a lot of weird flavors in that. And
Is that proven?
too?
Because it isn't.
Yes, that is one of the proven ones.
Are you sure? Because I
Yeah,
thought the
yeah.
recipe was like hidden, and I thought that was like
Yeah,
a
there's
myth.
there's
I thought it
rumored
was a
ones
myth.
and there's confirmed ones and rumored ones. I'm pretty sure prune is
I
one
think
of
I
the-
thought it
think
was a
Plankton
myth.
put it in his machine that just figures out what all the flavors are.
Who did?
Plankton.
they covered it
guys.
on they covered what it was on Doughboys a million years ago, and I'm not saying like Doughboys is like a well-researched show or anything. And this is also like so it's like third hand knowledge from me like saying it now. So I don't know if it's
like the
actual,
phone
but
game.
that was one of the ones where they did like a quiz or something. That was one of the things that it was prune.
It's delicious.
Cinnamon is another one that's pretty
Cinnamon.
much confirmed, and
I like cinnamon.
I still think that the
nutmeg.
recipe's hidden.
All right, so
Anyways, so,
We'll be
so
doing
to end our
Scream
our
3 and-
Scream 2 talk is Dr. Pepper talk. Anyways, so next week is going to be Friday the 13th, the original 1980s movie, and Scream 3. We'll be wrapping up Scream. We're not gonna get into any of the other ones. We're just gonna do the first three, the original
And
trilogy. Yeah, we did.
And
Yeah,
then we
talked about
start
it.
our summer camp.
Yep, and we're going to be doing a summer camp series with the Friday the 13th.
just Friday the 13th, or are we doing
Yep,
all
we're going to
summer?
we're going to be
Sleepaway Camp.
This
doing
next year will be a different one.
yep, or this we're going to do
Oh.
Friday the 13th.
I have
part
to wait a year to
2,
do
3,
Sleepaway Camp?
4.
Son
1
of
through
a
4.
bitch. Love Sleepaway Camp.
There's
There's a surprise. We all have wieners.
What?
Sleepaway
What?
Camp is one of the man. Those sequels are so
Oh, the sequel's rad. There, that goes into the whole thing that we were talking about earlier,
Yes.
where like you go completely
yeah.
off the rails because I think like
Yeah,
by
but the
3 it
first one wasn't that great to begin with.
No,
It
I
would
mean,
slap
yeah,
you.
that movie is like
Are you
is
upset that I was
it-
gonna slap you? Is that where we draw the
it's
line?
so-
No, I'm not upset about that.
It's
I would
like-
prefer it. But
it's charming in its
What?
own way, but like
the
those-
fact you think that's a good movie.
it's not a good movie.
Iconic.
I
Well-
mean, the twist is great, don't get me wrong.
There you go.
But it's not. That movie's boring. Even as a kid, I thought it was kind of boring.
We can't get into it now,
Nope.
but the relationships in that movie make no sense.
No.
Well, there's
There's
yeah,
stuff that
there's
makes no sense in the
unless
movie
someone
at
can
all.
teleport. Okay, well we'll talk about it someday.
Yeah, so that's a recommend from all of us on Scream 2 next week, Friday the 13th, Scream 3. Watch those if you want to be prepared for our episode. And with that, I'm Mr. Sir.
I'm
golden.
golden.
You're golden.
I'm gold. What?
I thought we swapped.
Oh, son of a! It's like a Freaky Friday thing.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Anthony
could
looks
you
at the screen and
imagine-
goes, "I'm the Crypt Keeper."
Could you imagine that happened and we had to show up to the podcast?
Anthony has to go.
I have to figure out how to take care of an 8-year-old.
Oh, I'm not gonna say you have to figure out how to take care of an 80-year-old body. 'Cause I'll tell you right now, it's not a pleasure. Like duct tape and WD-40 is the only thing keeping me moving.
Oh,
All right.
brother.
I don't even
All
know how to
right,
take care
our
of an
horror
8-year-old.
dork.
See ya.
See ya.
Stare awkwardly at the screen until Anthony hits the right button.
I'm in the right button.
There we go.